欢迎回到会场。接下来我们将进行的是“一带一路10周年回顾、展望与多边化发展倡议”的环节。有请 CCG 副主席郑金莲博士。
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Our fifth and final session is on the Belt and Road Initiative. To start, let's warmly welcome Dr. Zhang Jinglian, who is Vice President CCG and also Head of Research at CCG, to do the CCG report launch, the 10th anniversary of BRI, Review, Outlook and Multilateralized Development. Let's warmly welcome her.
掌声有请。
各位嘉宾，下午好。
Ladies and gentlemen, now on behalf of the CCG team, I'm going to launch the report, the 10th anniversary of the BRI Review, Outlook and Multilateralized Development. So we have separated the development over the past 10 years into three stages. The first stage was building framework. Since 2013, on October the 3rd, President Xi Jinping first mentioned the Belt and Road Initiative in his speech at the Indonesian Parliament. In May 2017, the first International Cooperation Summit, the Belt and Road Initiative was held, putting forward the formal framework of cooperation. By the end of 2017, the Belt and Road Initiative was incorporated into the statute of the CPC. The second stage is from 2017 to 2019. So we have multiple infrastructure programs being implemented. All parties start to engage in cooperation. The first CIIE was held in 2018. In December the 3rd, 2017, at the 4th World Internet Conference, the initiative was incorporated in the documents of the conference. The third stage is from 2019 to 2023, during which we have witnessed the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite that, the Belt and Road Initiative cooperation has remained resilient. Trade with the relevant countries has increased from 29.3% in 2019 to 32.9% in 2022. For example, we also seeing in between in the RCEP that came into effect on January the 1st, 2022. China started negotiation to join the DEPA and is preparing to join CPTPP. Also with Global Doorway and B3W, we're now seeing a chorus of infrastructure development initiatives. Second, the aspect of connectivity, mutual learning, and trade and economic cooperation, and people-to-people exchanges. These are the four main parts of BRI cooperation, and the 10 suggestions of CCG. The first is to establish a multilateral cooperation center of BRI following the pattern of the ACC, to provide guidance And the second is to establish a multilateral guiding committee or international consultant committee of the Belt and Road. And third is to establish international cooperation organization to dovetail with existing regional mechanisms and organizations and rules. And the fourth is to build a four-party platform to connect with B3W and Global Gateway. To increase global input in infrastructure. And fifth is following the example of G20 and APEC, we can hold the Belt and Road International Cooperation Summit alternately in willing countries. And six is to establish a International Development Bank Alliance under the guidance of the AIIB and in conjunction with World Bank and ADB. We will also encourage private capital to take part in this effort. And seventh, we will seek to join the Paris Club prudently to seek coordinated and sustainable solutions for debtors in payment difficulties, to ward off external debt risks and ensure global financial stability. And eighth is to establish an international alliance of enterprises for information exchange and business exchange. And the ninth is to establish a online service platform for professional talents building the Belt and Road. We need to establish a database and systemic service systems to facilitate enterprises in looking for appropriate international talents, and also help professionals find partners or platforms. We encourage China and relevant countries to promote these, encourage more exchange students and scholarship programs.
And Think Tank Plus on Belt and Road mechanism and other multilateral mechanisms to conduct a regular think tank summit forum seminars and to build up the brands for the think tank mechanism. So many thanks for all of you. This is the end of my report. And this is the QR code. You can scan the QR code and you can join in the discussion of the report and download the report. Thank you, Dr. Chen. With that, we will move to the roundtable of BRI with the theme of multi-stakeholder engagement for global development. What will be the next decade bring? The chair will be the Vice President and Senior Fellow of CCG, former Managing Director of DXC Technology Greater China, Mike Liu.
Roundtable. Multi-stakeholder engagement for global development. What will the next decade bring? Let's warmly welcome Vice President and Senior Fellow, Center for China and Globalization, and also former Managing Director, DXC Technology Greater China, Mike Liu, to chair this session.
欢迎刘洪先生。
谢谢大家。
Many thanks to Dr. Zheng for such an informative sharing on the research from CCG on BRI. So I'd like to take this opportunity briefly share with you some figure. This is the 10th anniversary of a BRI proposal, and more than 150 countries and many international organizations signed the documents with China on BRI. Bilateral trade volume surpassed 170 billion USD. And it is estimated that by 2030, from the current trade zone, we have created 420,000 job opportunities by 2030. We will create the opportunities for 7.6 million to live out of poverty, absolute poverty, and moderate poverty, and so the livelihood of the people living along the Belt and Road will be better off. I know this year is the 10th anniversary of the proposal of BRI of China, so next month we are going to hold the conference for BRI. 110 countries show their willingness to attend the meeting. And today I'm very honored to welcome the distinguished guests to share with us their viewpoints regarding the industry policies, the practices and experiences from BRI implementation, as well as the next step of development of BRI going forward. Due to time constraint, without further ado, I'd like to invite the first speaker, President of China Association for International Economic Cooperation, Ms. Gao Yuanyuan. Ms. Gao Yuanyuan has very fruitful experience in economic and trade realms, and she used to be the economic counselor of China to Italy embassy, and in 2022 all the way to now, he served as the president of CAFIEC. The floor is yours, Ms. Gao. Please share with us your experiences that you have witnessed during the past 10 years and your expectations in the future. Thank you. Thank you for CCG's invitation, and thank you, Mike Liu. After one whole days of discussion, I have learned a lot. Yeah, this year is the 10th anniversary of a BRI proposal, so to reflect the past 10 years and look into the future in coming 10 years. And previously, we can see from the information from the last report by CCG regarding the BRI figure sharing, I was pretty much impressed, but I will be very concise. Some of my experiences and impressions. For a long time, I was engaged in international trade cooperation and ODI as named by the international arena. And I've been visiting South Africa and African countries and Latin America, Asian countries, to witness the status of the developing countries. And the poorest country, the developing countries, and the least developed countries are the areas that I frequently visited. And I have witnessed how poor they are, how daunting the situation were, and their lack of the drinking water. And there are a lot of barriers for their development. The basic conditions are in shortage for the livelihood, maintenance. The supportive facilities and conditions for the industrial development are also very fragile. When the disasters are encountered by them, their ability to withstand these disasters are very vulnerable, very weak. Usually they would in great need of human assistance. And I've been engaged in UNDP, FAO, WFP, OECD, and the consultations of the official negotiation mechanisms. And I feel that the mission could be shared. Faced with the current disparities between the North and South, poor and rich, a single country could not conquer all of these problems or provide any single solutions by itself. So the solutions has to be integrating the different development factors to synergize all of these factors to create the conglomeration of the momentum. In 2013, President Xi Jinping proposed the BRI. To summarize it, is to implement the new concept of development, coordinated development, green development shared by all, and 5 connectivities. Connectivity in terms of the policies, infrastructure, trade, funding, and minds of the people. In 2013, when President Xi proposed this initiative all the way to 2021, I was working in European country, and I deeply felt that from the development of the foundation to the development of the preliminary results, the prosperity shared by all, and the win-win development platform, from the beginning all the way till now, I've been engaged in some of the conferences, seminars regarding BRI, and also have witnessed the reflections and feedbacks from the Italian society on the BRI. And actually, we've done a lot in the promotion and dissemination of the message of this initiative, like the 6 corridors and 6 roads, the connections of the different infrastructure would generate new momentum, and we proposed to develop the AIIB and the Silk Road funds, provide the funding modalities for BRI projects. We push forward the projects regarding education, sports, and poverty alleviation, and so on and so forth in these BRI countries, deepen the friendship between the people in these countries and the regions. And I've been engaged in the official development initiative or mechanism for a long time, and we believe the connectivities in all aspects has been fully implemented step by step, milestone by milestone, since the beginning of this initiative, and which is for the benefit of the livelihood, better off of the people along the Belt and Road, and to better off the cooperation in terms of the businesses and the trade among the countries. And we have seen a tremendous effect created from this initiative. I think common development as a concept had been demonstrated and deepened in the minds of the people step by step, day by day, during our daily cooperation. So in 2021, there is some years ago, the UN has proposed the SDG 2030 agenda, which is also in the same boat, on the same page with the BRI, and President Xi also previously proposed the GDI, emphasizing healthy and green development of the world, which can contribute to the accelerated growth towards the realization of 2030 agenda of UN. So I firmly support the position of UN and the influence of UN in the international arena. So right now we are in the midst of the changes which is not seen in the century. We can see the geopolitical conflicts, and that is obvious, and deglobalization, some counter currents against the globalization, and the recovery of the economy are very sluggish. The supply chain are shocked. Developing countries right now, the poverty alleviation also quite challenged. To attain the SDGs of UN, the way ahead of us is full of bumps. And we have to face the challenges squarely. Faced with this very complex environment, President Xi mentioned that we must come from the original intention of a BRI proposal to explore the common development as our perspectives for not only us but also our neighboring countries and all, to create the road of happiness shared by all. So we are looking to the future. Or during the 14th five-year plan period, we already proposed the concept of high-quality development as the main core, and to push forward the sustainable of the green growth. So high-quality development, we must still insist in the principles of consultation, sharing, and co-development to formulate new connotations of BRI in the future. For example, previously you mentioned the big topic is about green and green development. So BRI also includes the green development like the solar power, PV power, and wind power as the bullet points to work on. And China is quite strong at all of these areas in terms of the exports, for example. So I believe that all of these efforts can generate the growth momentum to transform the energy structure to win green development for all the countries along this road. And a digital transformation like 5G utilization or Beidou are all the new directions of connectivities and connotations of BRI through 3 years of fight against COVID. From battling against a single virus all the way to develop the full-fledged health or public health system. And not only the green way of development, but also the green development, blue development like the maritime sustainable development and the incumbent international norms and regulations. And these are the norms and regulations that we have to conform to. And we have to respect each other and respect the current international rules and regulations, customs of the different cultures, and different norms and also different rules combined together. As the background, the BRI must be ruled by law, ruled by rule, for the better communication and connectivity.
So we talk about high-quality growth and Belt and Road Initiative. It exceeds bridge building and road building, these tangible projects. It's becoming more multi-tiered and diverse, which needs new plans and resolutions of global governance. Also, talent training and capacity building. One of the major way of assistance is human resources. This is very important. We have signed agreement with more than 152 countries. Some even don't have different languages, different cultures. So we need training, human resources cooperation to strengthen exchange and cooperation. So climate change and other elements are reshaping international rules. China advocates multilateralism and reform of the global governance system, and contributes its share in building a more fair and equal global governance system. I believe that the global community of shared future calls for peace and development, whether it's
developed or developing countries, so we need to move towards each other, and thank you. Thank you very much for
Hadi Tahola. Hadi is an Indonesian-Korean diplomat. He joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia in 2002. And Hadi has accumulated rich work experience related to foreign affairs, especially handle bilateral relations between Indonesia and the countries in East Asia region. So given this time, can you just keep very brief, within 3 minutes, and the floor is yours, Hadi.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you for the opportunity, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hadi. I'm from the ASEAN-China Center. So allow me to respond to your question, Mr. Mike, from the perspective of ASEAN-China relations. As we know that ASEAN-China relations is very close, very strong, very robust. And in fact, China has become the largest trading partner for ASEAN, at least for the last 13 years. So for ASEAN, China is not only neighbor, not only friend, but China also a strong partner for Indonesia. And but the question is, what about the BRI? Do ASEAN countries really need the BRI? Is BRI really important for ASEAN countries? I think to answer these questions, at least it's my perspective as an ASEAN people, I'm Indonesian, so I think the answer of this question is yes, definitely yes. ASEAN countries need BRI. Why? Simply because most of ASEAN countries are developing countries. All of us, ASEAN countries, need to build infrastructure, connectivity, to link cities, to link areas within the country, and to link them with the international market. But the problem is, most of developing countries, we don't have money, we don't have financing, so we need financing from outside, from other countries. In the past, most of the financing, infrastructure financing, were coming from developed countries, from Western countries, from institutions like World Bank, like IMF. But now, our fellow developing countries, our friend, our neighbor, our strong partners, which is China, come to us and offer us with the financing of infrastructure. So I think this is why most of ASEAN countries widely welcome, widely open the doors for the BRI. Now the next question is there any opposition? Is there any concerns about the BRI? And the answer of this question is yes. There is still some concerns, some opposition of the BRI. Whether you like or not, there is still some view, negative view, or even negative sentiment on the BRI. For example, some view, it's not usually it's not government view, but other element of the country. The views that BRI is only what is that? The trap for the recipient countries, for the participating country. They said that China only bring that to trap the country, to control the participating country. So debt trap is one of the concerns. And the other concerns is some view that BRI is used by China to control, to dominate the region and countries beyond the region. So I think this is the big homework, big task for Chinese government to overcome, to address this concerns properly. How to overcome this or to address this problem, I think China should improve the transparency. China should build the trust, the confidence among the countries in the region. And if China could address this problem or this concern properly, I believe that BRI will even more widely accepted, welcomed by countries in the region. And I do believe that if this could be addressed properly, BRI will contribute to a better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Hadi. That's a very the comprehensive view, and I'm sure your role with ASEAN-China will definitely push forward this initiative. Next, let me invite next distinguished guest, Dr. Harvey Doding. Dr. Doding is a former vice president of ABC Television in New York, and he is a senior fellow of the Center for China and Globalization. Dr. Doding was appointed by U.S. President Jimmy Carter as his lawyer on Presidential Committee. American Biography Institute recently named Dr. Doding one of the great thinkers of 21st century. Dr. Doding, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mike, and a warm thanks to Henry, to Mabel, and the very hardworking staff for an incredible day. I learned so much. Peter Drucker, a famous Austrian U.S. management guru, said that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And that's exactly what President Xi Jinping has done with BRI, or then called Idai-Ilu, in his first months of becoming the Chinese leader a decade ago. Of course, there were many doubters, but they were wrong. One observer got it right. A veteran diplomat and president of the China Foreign Affairs University said that OBOR was perhaps the most important initiative in China's history of 5,000 storied years. Tragically, this diplomat died in a car accident in 2016 before his prediction could become clear and fully realized. Today, there are multiple BRIs beyond the original. As we've heard already, the Green Silk Road, the Digital Silk Road, and there's more to come. They say that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And BRI has plenty of potential imitators. Trump had his half-assed plan, which was, I call it BRI Ultra Light. Then Biden has his Build Back Better World. And the EU has its gateway. Competition is good, but I don't think China has anything to worry about. So how about the next 10 years of BRI? With a decade of experience and learning, China has polished its BRI model to a very bright shine. And combined with President Xi's Global Civilization Initiative, BRICS Plus, RCEP, and potentially Trans-Pacific Partnership, the prediction of the diplomat Wu Jiamin is poised to become a reality. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Harvey. That's very inspirational, very insightful remarks. 下面我有请那个下一位那个嘉宾。
Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Lin Hongyu, Vice President of Huaqiao University. He's also head of the International Relations School. Is a member of the Advisory Council to the Overseas Chinese Federation of the State Council. He also has many other titles, so the floor is yours, Mr. Lin.
First of all, I think many thanks for CCG to invite me to join this high-level, profound, diversity, inclusive forum to discuss the most important topic. Although this is the last section, everybody is very tired, but I think it's very important because I think the BRI is the most important international public good in current stage. Just as Mr. Harvey Jordan mentioned, the BRI is the most project in the human history. I am from the Huaqiao University. My university is served more than 60 million overseas Chinese, and 40 million distributed in the BRI area. So, we all know the overseas Chinese is a very have great resource. For example, almost have $5 trillion is occupied by the overseas Chinese enterprise, and 3 million is in the is distributed in the BRI area. So I think the overseas Chinese play a very important role in the BRI. And this year we see the 10th anniversary of BRI. I think the next decade is more important for BRI. Just next section topic mentioned, the question is, what will the next decade bring? I think my answer is the next decade is golden. It's golden decade for BRI. Why say so? We all know in the CPC 20 Congress report, we say we should high quality to develop BRI in the next decade. What is high quality mean? I think from Chinese perspective, it is two things. One is do more better or say more better. I think I have 2 points to say what is the high quality. The first one, I think the next decades, I think the BRI is a very important key to resolve the international society crisis or challenges we face. We all know today we found profound changes unseen in our century. And these changes is speed up in recent years because we all know the pandemic and Russia invade Ukraine and so on. I think this even trigger or speed up the dramatic change for the international situation. And I think that today we face more uncertain security. So how to solve the problem? I think the BRI is a very important key. Just as the ambassador of Germany this morning saying, the global challenger need a global solution. So I think BRI is a global solution to solve the global security issue. And the second point, I think the BRI entered the next decades. I think from the China perspective, we, besides to do the thing, we do the first decades just as building, but I think another important thing, we should to sum up some value. just as we have the common value of human society. For example, such as the extensive consolidation, joint contribution, shared benefit. And we should have the peace, development, fair, justice, democracy, and freedom, and so on. I think this value is the common value of the human being. So I think BRI should to spread, to spread this value more to the world. 那么最后呢，我想用中文。
Last but not least, I'd like to talk about my own experience in Chinese, a case to showcase my aspiration about the future human being society. About 5 years ago, I was in Panama, which is in America continent. Panama is like the bridge of the transport because the canal in Panama is connecting Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. And when I was visiting this country, and with me there is a Chinese company in the BRI programs, and this company is located at the bank of the Panama Canal, who is supposed to construct a 15 tons of the ship for a certain client in Panama. We know that the capacity of the transportation has been actually lifted or increased from only 5 tons to 10 tons all the way to 15 tons after the canal was cleared. But when the canal was constrained and no ships could get through, then the company was running a port, and I was visiting that port, and I have seen a building which is made of concrete, and I was curious what it is. And the people receiving me told me that 20 years ago, this was a weapons reservoir of a U.S. military forces. But now it has become the warehouse of the concrete and the steel materials for China. Because 20 years ago, it was for the ammunition storage of American military force, but of course, by that time it was for the purpose of international order guarantee, but now it also for the purpose of human beings orders guarantee. So it is an option up to human beings. What is the development and what is the definition of a future development? It is the option in our hand. Thank you, President. It is really informative story, including your own experience, your anecdote, which broaden our viewpoints. And now I'd like to invite Pan Xingxing, founder and chairman and president of Star Times. In 1988, President Pan founded Star Times, and then he was recruited as the vice chairman of China's Association of Entrepreneurs. In 2019, he was nominated as the vice chairman of China-Africa Businesses Association and the chairman of the Private Enterprise Association between China and Africa. So I'd like to ask for your impressions about the influence on the businesses along BRI after BRI is initiated. Thank you. Due to time constraint, please control time. Thank you. Many thanks to CCG's invitation to me. Yes, so this year is the 10th anniversary of the birth of BRI, and this 10 years is a fruitful 10 years, and BRI has become the most popular platform of cooperation in the world. For this 10 years, as an enterprise starting our sailing from this platform, we also gain a lot of upper hands from this platform. Yes, we were registered in 1988 as a high-tech company, and in 2002 we started broadening our business in Africa. In 2007, we started investment in African continent. In Africa, we mainly invest in the licensed construction of the networks and the network and the digital TV and the paid DTV programs network in Africa. Altogether, 1.5 billion RMB yuan has been invested into African continent. Probably we are one of the biggest investor as a private company from China, and we are dedicated on the network construction of the video facilities and TV live broadcast, and the network has covered 45 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. 1.2 million people have been covered by our business. Right now, our company has become the biggest platform spreading the content, digital content, to the local residents. Altogether, 830 TV towers were constructed, like the towers that has been deployed by CCTV, CGTN, and Phoenix TV, and other mainstream TV stations. And on our platform, they also spread the content not only from the mainstream channels of China, but also the content from their local mainstream media. And so Star Times provide the platform and the content through the channels to the local residents. After 10 years of the development, we also have developed the integrated programs, production, editing, and the delivery of the media content on the platform altogether. We can transmit it every year. Chinese programs, the capacity is more than 10,000 hours per year of Chinese programs and Chinese content. We are using more than 10 languages to broadcast this content right now. The content were demonstrated 24/7 using 4 different languages: Chinese, English, Spanish, and French. And the 4 languages were adopted to broadcast Chinese movies and TV dramas, so that the best programs content of Chinese TV and Chinese films could be delivered and disseminated to these different countries, touching all of these people and audience. I'd like to emphasize especially the children's content. We've started the Star Times Children Channel, broadcasting 3 languages, 24/7, to the local children. Star Times, right now, the investment in African continent, facilitate the broadcast, radio, and a TV network experienced the fundamental changes in African continent. We deeply feel that the visions that we proposed in the beginning when we set feet on the continent to let everyone in African continent have the access to TV and to mobile phone and to the network of the continent. Because in the beginning, the TV is something like luxury, could not be accessible by all. But right now we can see more and more people access to the best quality content, not only within their own community, but also from China. In 2015, Johannesburg Summit of China-Africa Cooperation Forum, President Xi Jinping proposed to provide the satellite TV access to 10,000 households. Satellite TV, that is a movement to provide the access of the satellite signals to 10,000 households. That was very influential, and the impact is very tremendous. We deeply feel that in rural areas in particular, to turn on the signal of the TV, the households of a whole village will feel extremely happy because they can gather together to view and watch these movies and TV dramas with excitement. Talking about the next 10 years of the development, I truly believe that the wars has been ceased and the society has been stabilized. Right now, all corners of life are in great need of development and economic growth. So we can see in the next 1 decade, looking forward, the popularization of power will boil down to the popularization of the digital access to all households, because that can generate the democratization of the power access and to revitalize the livelihood of the people and create more beautiful pictures to the normal people of daily life of the people. And we feel very confident about that. In the next 10 years, BRI development, especially in African continent, would embrace even more promising future. Thank you. That's all for me. Thank you, President Pan, for your experience in Africa. You personally have witnessed the rise of one continent. Thank you. With that, I'd like to invite Dr. Pan Xiaoduo. Pan Xiaoduo is the Chief Engineer of Great Bay Areas Association, who is also the Director General of the Water Resources Development of the Drought Areas of the National Committee of BGBA. And he has been engaged in a lot of research, and he had issued more than 100 articles.
Thank you. Because I work for the CAS, I'll talk about scientific and technological cooperation. It's an important part of Belt and Road cooperation. It is also an important bridge and bond linking different countries. The first is we see that the platform continues to expand. Since the launching of this initiative, we have seen progress in scientific and technological parks and joint laboratories. By the end of 2022, we have established joint scientific cooperation relations with 84 countries, and having put in a lot of resources in various areas. At the same time, the CAS has initiated ENSO, the Belt and Road Joint Research Association. It is comprised of universities and research institutes along the Belt and Road. We have now 67 members in different continents in the world. So we also have have 8 transnational technological transfer centers in different regions. And second, we are seeing deepening cooperation in talent exchanges. So we have more than 18,000 people having come to China for technological exchanges. We also we have conducted multiple times the scientific visits for young scientists in ASEAN countries. Well, we have also been engaging in cultural exchanges between these scientific personnel. And also we cooperate with each other in authoring theses. In 2021, we penned together more than 20,000 papers. They are concentrated in chemistry, physics, and material science, and microelectronics, etc. So these are very important for us to realize connectivity, helped us dovetail with other countries in our respective development initiatives and programs. At the same time, we are also seeing that against the more and more complex international landscape, we see that the Belt and Road Initiative cooperation will play an important role in the future. So we advise that we pay more attention to the legal and regulatory aspects of our cooperation, give more attention to platform building. So first we need to set standards, set rules for scientific data, and also we need to strengthen cooperation with the UN and UN bodies. We should leverage ENSO and Zhongguancun Forum and Top Scientists Forum, etc., and other platforms to pay more attention to common issues of challenge. I also need to have more targeted cooperation in different areas. And fourth, we need to pay attention to building platforms. So this is the thank you very much.
详实，非常好的一个建议。下面的话呢，我。
Thank you. Now I'd give the floor to Mr. Tang Haoxuan, CCG Senior Council Member and Chairman of FUETA International. So please control your speech at under 3 minutes long. Thank you. For the next decade of Belt and Road, I have 3 observations to share with you. The first is that after 10 years of development, Belt and Road has become an important platform for international cooperation and an important public good. So I think that enterprises and governments are fully confident in the Belt and Road Initiative. I was paying a visit to Indonesia in 2018. Many Western countries and Japan have been rooted in Indonesia for many years, but so I asked them, why didn't they carry out something like the Belt and Road? This is only China in the world is capable of this noble task. So with this in mind, we'll march with more confidence into the next decade. So the second point is what was the characteristics of that define the past decade, and what are we going to do in the next 10 years? In the past 10 years, we focused on the numbers, but going forward, it has already become a favorite public good. So we need to focus more on quality instead of quantity. So in the future, we need to have priorities, be it priorities in countries, regions, and or projects. In the past, it was possible, but it's going to change in the future. And the third, the future depends on ourselves as well as the international environment. In 2015, on March the 12th, the UK has became the first founding member among the Western countries of the AIIB, and also Italy became the first G7 country to sign a Belt and Road memorandum last year on 26th of June last year. There was this infrastructure and partnership agreement. So Italy and UK were included, and also at a Indonesia, Mid East, and Europe Economic Corridor project. So if it is some imitation after China's Belt and Road, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it has emerged. If it can contribute to the development of developing countries and that of humanity, we should all welcome it, be it the result of imitation or the result of guilty conscience. So the thing is that these countries, they're parties both to the Belt and Road and also to other development initiatives. Domestically, our departments and enterprises and local governments should, for example, our local governments at the national level, we have this Belt and Road leadership group led by Vice President Han Zheng. It needs to be advanced in an orderly manner with nationwide coordination. According to my knowledge, there's such a leadership group in every province, so we need such a coordination in the government for going out of Chinese enterprises. We're not unfamiliar to this concept because this is what has happened over the past 40 years. So many countries like Japan, the enterprises went abroad when they have already become strong. But China, it's a different story. We are going abroad as we develop. We have been very clear when we proposed the Belt and Road. It's not a solo. It's a symphony. If it is staged, then there's all countries are actors playing on this stage. I understand that among the 160 industrial parks, most of them are led by enterprises, but that is not enough. If we can have design at a higher level, things would have been different. The enterprises would have more freedom and discretion in choosing their destination. So we need more top-level design. Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to Mr. Xie Haoming, Vice Chairman of HNA Aviation Group, among other titles. So Mr. Xie, you have the floor. Thank you very much. I'll briefly share about our participation in the Belt and Road Initiative. HNA is part of China's civil aviation industry. Building the aviation Belt and Road is a part of our objective. So for us, we are actively promoting flight rights and increase in flight rights and flight routes among the Belt and Road countries. So we're seeing that in this regard, the situation has been much better for those countries. The passengers account for more than 71% of China's international passengers, so that's higher than in the past. So Belt and Road Initiative has stimulated the growth of China's aviation industry. HNA opened its first intercontinental flight, the one between Beijing and Budapest, to suit the needs of our cooperation, and later after that we began to open more and more flight routes to more destinations. Then our efforts were part of the general efforts of the Chinese industry of aviation. We have opened new 83 flight routes.
2.9 million people will be transported, and Hainan Airlines safety in flight operations has become one of the top aviation enterprises. And IGCT have launched the airfield efficiency ranking. Hainan Airline is top 1 among the top 20. And for 12 consecutive years, we have acknowledged as 5-star airline companies and the single one company receiving this acknowledgement in China. And Hainan Airlines also have its upper hands in the integrated industrial chain. We also deployed the overall industrial chain, including the cargo, passenger transportation, the maintenance, MRO, and the investment in the air trafficking, and the SRT, mortar production base, because the ACG is in Turkey, and technical, and in Ghana of Africa. We also have the Africa World's aviation programs to correspond to the BRI to realize the common prosperity and common development. Cooperation is in place to honor our responsibility and authority. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Hainan Airlines have contributed tremendously to the BRI due to time constraint. I will directly invite the next speaker, Zhang Jiuan, Director of Research Management and International Cooperation Department of Academy of Contemporary China and World Studies. Dr. Zhang, in the BRI Research and World Opinions, have done a lot of research. So good afternoon. Very happy to attend this seminar. So in terms of the international communication, BRI in terms of the spread of Chinese development and China's type of the development, BRI played a very important role in spreading this pattern of the development and to give focus on the enrichment of the content. So I'd like to touch upon 3 considerations. In the past 10 years, the think tanks of the world, their focus of the attention of BRI is very high. Especially the Asia-Pacific region's think tanks is 1 times more than the think tanks from EU countries and the US. US, Japan, and South Korea and Germany, the publications from the think tanks about BRI is the most and the biggest in terms of the number of the publications. The benefit given to the BRI countries in terms of the infrastructure development momentum for the growth of the economy and so on and so forth, the contributions has been highly acknowledged by the international opinions. And thirdly, US and European countries also have provided some kind of substitute of BRI. From last year on, the so-called replacement or substitute of BRI by EU and US has been raised. And we have noticed that China versus EU countries would not see this substitute as in the same page of BRI in terms of the number of the programs and benefit created to the local community. So in the future going forward, I have 3 suggestions. The first one is to look at the basic conditions and requirements and demands of the local community along BRI so that the articles, publications of the research could be more refined. The actual demand and expectations in this research is yet to be unleashed. And second, we have to set up the typical showcases so that the small but beautiful cases could be demonstrated in a larger scale as a role model. And third, the think tanks on the BRI shall introduce Chinese perspective to push forward the knowledge from China's side. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Zhang. Very concise, very concrete, and very specific sharing. Due to time constraint, I'd like to do a very small and a brief wrap-up for this roundtable. There are different viewpoints. First of all, personal experiences, 4 directions. Government, international viewpoints, enterprises viewpoints, and universities and research institute viewpoints. Personal experiences and 4 dimensions fully demonstrate that BRI showed the responsibility to push forward the realization of common prosperity of human beings and a community shared by all. On behalf of CCG, I'd like to give my thanks to all of the representatives and panelists for your sincere sharing, and many thanks to the very patient audience for staying with us for the whole day. With the conclusion of the last roundtable, we, on behalf of CCG, like to show and express our gratitude for attendance for this 9th China and Globalization Forum. Looking forward to seeing you in the next year.